Hey, good morning, Calvin folks. This is Professor Bascom. We're filming this morning, the day of chapel, from Ethiopia. I should have begun with Temeskin. Exabier Temeskin is the traditional greeting in this country for probably the last 2,000 years. In short, it simply means praise God. Praise God. Exabier Temeskin. As we landed here 10 days ago, many people on the plane from Ethiopia returning home were singing Exabier Temeskin, Exabier Temeskin. And this reflects the fact that Ethiopia is somewhat unique in many different respects, but one is the fact that Christianity has been existent here, perhaps brought back by the Ethiopian eunuch who was baptized by Philip on his way home from Jerusalem, but assuredly adopted as the official religion in 300 AD. And hence Orthodox Christianity has flourished here, although somewhat protected by this, the one mountainous country in all of Africa.
Early on in our trip, we got the opportunity to visit the Salams Children's Village. This is a great opportunity for all of us. We were able to play with kids ages probably like 5 to 14, all going to school. There was tons of them. Got to play soccer, really interact and get to know some of these kids, and it was just a really blessed opportunity for the whole group.
Poverty here in Africa is very obvious. That's the thing that everybody hears, the orphans, the people living on the streets, and that's something that our group has been seeing daily. But one of the amazing things that we've witnessed is what people in Ethiopia are doing to help specifically the orphans. We've gone to numerous orphanages and have seen people live out their faith and just help these kids, and it's heartbreaking to see all these children who don't have parents, but it's also really, really powerful to play with them and make their day just a little bit better, and just to see that there is a positive influence, there is things to be done.
Alright, so Ethiopia runs on a different calendar than we do in the US. They run on what's called the Julian calendar. So they're actually 7 years behind us. It's 2002 here. Christmas happens on January 7th.
On Christmas Eve, we had the opportunity to go to an Orthodox service, and it was really interesting. Traditionally, they last like a really long time, from just after supper till around midnight, and we only went to part of it and got to see like the traditional dress. Everyone wears white, and lots of different rituals that they perform, so it was a very interesting
day. We had the opportunity to spend time with families in their homes. It was a really cool experience. One of the things that I noticed a lot about the Ethiopian families is that no matter how much they have, they give you as much as they can. They really, they serve you a lot in that. And I went to a home with another girl, and we felt immediately comfortable and immediately cared for. And it's really cool to know that even though we met these families once, that we always have the bond of Christ with them.
This past weekend, we flew down south to a city called Arbor Minch, where we did some really great things. We went on a crocodile and hippopotamus adventure, and we saw tons of them. It was really great. They were huge, and we took tons of pictures, and we just had a great time.
In the very city or town now of Sodu was the first site of a missionary effort in the southern part of the animist region of this country. And that particular area, there was a small foray of missionaries from the U.S. The ground had been sown by a lot of miracles in this area in dramatic ways. And when the gospel arrived, there were a handful of believers, 2 women and 8 men, who had come to faith and in fact been baptized when in the 1920s the Italians invaded, 1935 that would be, the Italians invaded Ethiopia, thus forcing the missionaries to leave. When they returned, expecting to pick up the pieces from nothing, an illiterate, no Bible group of 10, the mountain which is being featured in the picture in front of you now, Mount Humbo, it was said there were 10,000 believers on the flanks of that mountain alone. Behind me is a South Korean-run hospital. The South Korean missionary movement has come to Ethiopia. We're staying at their guest house. We're eating kimchi every morning for breakfast. And behind us, they've built the best hospital in Ethiopia here in Addis. Quickly then, last Sunday, while we were in Addis, the South Koreans were doing as they do best in South Korea, and that is going onto mountains with Ethiopian believers. And in fact, Mount Humbo, my understanding is there were 10,000 believers climbing it in the early morning light, singing Exabier Tamuskin, praises to God, and praying on its heights. 5 other mountains in that region, similarly 10, 15,000 people gathering to sing praises to God.
Last weekend in Soto, we split up into 4 different groups and we went to rural churches. In my experience in the church that I went to, we sat on the girls' side and the guys' side, which was very interesting and very different. But it was really cool to see all the emotion that the people, when they were singing, and the holy dance, which is kind of like this, and it was really interesting. It was really fun, and everyone was really welcoming, and we had a great time.
Since a lot of the Christians in Ethiopia are of the Ethiopian Orthodox religion, we spent some time today learning about the rituals and the culture of the Orthodox and the church, including how to put on shawls, because we are preparing to go to Timket.
But this style of wearing it is called the style of the cross. And what it represents, because the Orthodox Church is full of symbolic meaning, it represents the idea or the fact that Christ came from heaven, which is from the right side, down to earth, which is represented on the left, to raise man from hell, which is where we are by nature, to heaven on the right side. So from the left to the right.
One other notation, I mentioned this country being 80 million strong. The census, the national census, came up with an amazing result just released, and that is that the evangelical Christian population has grown by 10% in the last decade, now from 8 to 18%. This translates into millions and millions of new followers of Jesus Christ. It is exciting to be here just on that count alone. But that's our introduction to Ethiopia, and I hope you'll all corporately together try out your first Ethiopian words, which are quick to the lips of Ethiopians. Exabier Tamuskin.
My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do.